right, line them up. It's election day.
What's so fast, you yellow bastard? Come on, okay, quiet.
Come on, you bastard, we need your vote.
Bastard! I fought for you, nigger. I lost an arm for you.
Well, that's a start. Now, come on.
I think there was another one, but it got lost in the snow. Aaron, did you see a second one?
I just saw that one big one.
Hey, be smart, big guy.
Sit down. Yeah, in the police car? In the police car? Or you want to be on the ground?
I want to talk to you guys before.
You've already talked to us all.
No, you haven't really given me a chance.
We don't have to give you a chance. That's not how this works anymore. It was, remember, you're a sovereign citizen.
I'm not banging my head.
Yes, you were.
No, I
So what you need to do is stand up, sit in the car,
Let go of
okay?
my ears, man.
No, you're going to stand up and you're going
I
to
said let go of my
I
ears.
said you're going to stand up and you're going to sit in the car, okay? You want to do it more? I mean, this is all just you, okay?
Oh, you, man.
So just stand up and put your butt in the car.
I can't even hear you.
You don't have to hear me.
Let go of my fucking...
Stand up, take a seat in the car.
Let go of my pressure points, man.
Well, then do what you're told.
No, I'm not a fucking...
all you have to
I'm
do.
not your fucking nigger.
Nobody says you're anything.
Yeah, well, you're trying to tell me what to do.
Yeah, because you're under arrest. You've been asked multiple times.
I'm off, man.
Let's lay him up in there. Let's lay him on the car. Let's lay him on the car.
I'm not trying to kick you guys away.
You're not?
No, I'm fucking not. You guys get off of me, man. I'm not trying to... You're alright,
Silversmith and political radical Paul Revere captures the moment British soldiers kill 5 colonists in the streets of Boston. His engraving will fuel the fires of revolution as outrage spreads across the 13 colonies.
Unhappy Boston, see thy sons deplore, thy hallowed walks besmeared with guiltless gore, whilst faithless Preston and his savage bands, with murderous rancor, stretch their bloody hands.
The most formidable army in the world, firing on an unarmed crowd. An explosive image with a title that says it all. The Bloody Massacre.
There was the old joke, you give me a picture, I'll give you a war. Those who wanted to stir things up and to make a statement and maybe even lead a revolution, it made them able to rally others to their side.
News spreads fast. The colonists are avid readers, a legacy from the first Bible-reading Puritans in Plymouth. Boston has the first weekly newspaper.
I just told you, you failed to identify yourself. You weren't wearing a seatbelt because you haven't been a seatbelt since we were over here.
How do you know that?
Because I was on the passenger side this whole time.
Yeah, but
We're about to break your window.
go.
Ma'am, open the door or we're...
Glass all over me and hurt me like that, I will sue the shit out of you.
Listen, he does not want his window broken. Okay. Please unlock your door.
Just open the door.
Wow, I hope all of you get in deep shit. Don't give me the 1-2 countdown anyway.
Okay, step out
That's
of the car.
bullshit.
Get out of the car.
So, I'm not acting like a kid. I'm acting like a citizen without any rights, obviously, because I'm being yanked out of a car.
For a seatbelt? If my phone gets broken, I'm suing the shit out of you too. Oh, take the phone, of course, because you know what?
Hey, stop.
You want your evidence? Give me my phone. Oh my god, it's okay, thanks. Now you guys owe me a phone too.
No, we don't.
No, I'm not. Yeah, you need to throw my phone for what?
Stop
For
resisting.
what? Why did you throw my phone? For a seatbelt?
Because you're not
This
complying.
is for a seatbelt?
Yes.
This is the treatment I get for a seatbelt?
Yes, absolutely.
Ow, you're fucking gonna break my arm. You like my fucking arm. I'm not, but you're twisting my fucking arm up so hard that it fucking hurts.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of tyranny and to the tyrants for which it stands, one pig next to his colleague, oppressing people's rights forever.
Take a picture of you. Turn around.
You're dismissed.
Officer Powell, you wanted him to get up, didn't you?
No, sir.
You wanted him to move towards you, didn't you?
No, that's not what
You wanted to hit him in the head with a baton, didn't you?
No, sir.
This is a trial that sent protesters into the streets, demanding justice and, in some cases, revenge. A trial that seemed to be based on an 81-second videotape recorded on March 3rd, 1991 on a home video camera. Evidence that seemed so clear and convincing that the nation had already presumed guilt long before the jury reached its verdict.
Deputy, are you on your lunch break?
Yes, sir. What do you need, man?
What time do you get off lunch?
What's that?
What time do you get off lunch?
What do you need to know at?
Well, I wanted to discuss something, but I don't want to bother you during your lunch break.
What's up, man? What do you need?
Well,
Talk to me. What's up? What do you need?
okay, I mean, I'm not trying to piss you off. I just want to talk to you.
I'm not pissed off. That's what I'm saying. Just what's up? What do you need?
Okay, well, I'd like to file a complaint
Complain on what?
on something that you did.
Something I did? Well, then I wouldn't be the one you want to file the complaint with. You want to speak to my chief. Don't you? You got his information. Just leave him a voicemail on the phone and make your complaint, okay?
Do you have a complaint form?
If he has one, he'll give it all to you, okay? Whenever you see him, because he's going to drive past here again in a little bit, okay? And you can talk to him, because I'm sure if the complaint's about me, you don't want to file it with me, right?
Well, I don't mind doing that. I mean, it's not like some sort of hostile complaint. It's just a complaint. The complaint is about prior restraint and the fact that you arbitrarily removed my post from the official Marshall Facebook page.
Okay, yeah. You might want to wait on him, okay?
Okay.
Cool.
I can handwrite it. It's just a normal piece of paper, but if you have a form, I'd like to fill
You
it.
know what, Big Dog? I'll call him. Okay, understand something. We're not going to sit here and do this all day and entertain your stuff, okay?
See, and that's...
No. That's where it's left at, and that's it.
No, but that's not fair.
I'm going to call him over here. He's going to handle it with you, but we're not going to keep doing this all day. We got other things to do than to keep entertaining your crap, okay? So take
First
it
of all,
somewhere else.
this is not crap.
It is crap.
And it's not entertainment.
It is.
And I'm not trying to cause problems. I'm trying to do something that is important to me and is exercising rights that I have and that other people have.
Okay.
So this is not crap and this is not entertainment. I'm not trying to just... I know that's how you feel,
Okay.
but by putting on that uniform, you have...
Listen, what do you want to do? You give him a piece of paper so he can fill out whatever it is that he wants to do. You come on in here, man.
All right.
Close the door. Here, come on over here, man.
All right.
able to talk to you, man.
No problem, officer.
So, do you mind if I mean, you don't have to answer. That's your God-given right not to answer, but...
Constitutional right.
Well, the Constitution was inspired by God, wasn't it?
Well, I got to agree with you there.
Because in the Constitution, doesn't it say that our rights are bestowed upon us by our Creator, our inalienable rights?
You're my type of guy.
So, I'm just curious, because you got me curious, because this has never happened to me on an inspection or a traffic stop before.
Okay.
So I've had people videotape me, but not to the extent that you are.
All right.
So I'm just curious. Like, you know, what's up? Like, is something bothering you?
Okay, so what rights or protections are established under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution? Well, this is commonly known as the Federal Due Process Clause because it establishes the rule that the government must adhere to or take notice of fundamental rights and fairness in the passage of laws. So when creating substantive and procedural laws, it must be done and applied with ideas of fundamental fairness and equal application in mind. Okay, so this law again has been interpreted to create many of the procedural rules that exist with regard to how the government carries out laws against individuals when the government seeks prosecution or punishment of an individual for a certain type of conduct. Much of the procedures that the government must follow or undertake with carrying out that laws are regulated by the Fifth Amendment Due Process Clause. Okay, and mainly that is filled in with common law, right? The judicial interpretation for how those substantive laws will be applied in a fundamentally fair way.
And the other one's the body cam. Now you've seen some of this body cam because they voluntarily disclosed it, at least some of it, the day that it happened. Yet they're not giving it to me. That's illegal, that's discriminatory, and they have to give it to anyone since they already gave it out. You can see here, Arlington police released body camera video of officer trying to shoot dog. Body camera footage shows. So I'm literally having to spend, I spent over 6 hours of my time. 6 hours of my time because they're playing these games, and of course they don't ever admit to the Attorney General, oh hey, by the way, we already released this, or oh, we didn't do this, and well, here, I guess in the first one they did admit it. But the point is, because these jerks, these absolute total criminal jerks, that would have taken them only a few minutes to give me the basic crime information. In fact, I think I even wrote that here. I have recently been overwhelmed by governmental bodies in Texas failing and or refusing to release public information about government actor misconduct. The criminal acts of state actors who withhold public information cause substantial and irreparable harm to me. I am just now able to dedicate hours of time to write these comments. In the event that a ruling was issued in advance of this, please reconsider it. I note that it would take merely a matter of minutes for the city to simply send me the basic information I requested. The welfare of society will never recover from the deadweight cost of the city's open records games.
I don't see him live either.
Keep up the great work, Justin.
Hey,
I thumbs
thank
up
you.
medium dark skin tone film projector movie camera.
Oh, I love her describing the icons. Horizon City News Service. He is based out near El Paso. Definitely be sure to give him a sub. He spends, I mean, I'll tell you, he does a lot of time on his videos. It's just very apparent. He is really spending a lot of time on this stuff. He kind of came out of the gate running. One of his first videos, he caught a stop of an El Paso policewoman arrested for DWI. And the police are after him for that big time. I mean, that really stirred the hornet's nest out there. And he could really use your support because they're gunning for him, and only with your support will he stay free.
So what is the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, and what does that include? Well, Generally, it is known as the incorporation doctrine, in that it incorporates the due process and equal protection rights of the Constitution to the state government. So all of the protections under the U.S. Constitution are then applied to the state governments. That's called the incorporation doctrine. But generally, the 14th Amendment says that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges and immunities of citizens of the U.S., nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So again, the 14th Amendment incorporates the protections of the Constitution into state government. It provides for due process in the passage and execution of laws, through same as the Fifth Amendment to the federal Constitution, and it applies for equal protection of individuals within a state. Okay, so collectively, this is the 14th Amendment.
Samuel Adams was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1722. He graduated from Harvard College. In business, he was unsuccessful, but being brought up in a religious and politically active family, he became involved in the fight for independence from Great Britain. Adams didn't agree with Great Britain's practice of making decisions to tax the American colonies without any American colony leaders present to give their opinion. This was called taxation without representation. Samuel organized a committee of correspondence to unite other American colonists who felt the same way he did. He also traveled from tavern to tavern, sharing his political beliefs and urging colonists to resist paying the taxes Great Britain was ordering them to pay. He was a member of the Sons of Liberty and participated in the Boston Tea Party. He also urged the Continental Congress to write and sign the Declaration of Independence. He helped write the Articles of Confederation. After the Revolutionary War, he returned to his home state of Massachusetts, where he assisted in writing the Massachusetts Constitution. He served in the state Senate and was eventually elected governor of Massachusetts. He died in 1803 at the age of 81. Samuel Adams was United States President John Adams' second cousin and is considered one of the founding fathers of the United States.
In the year 1773, James Warren proposed that Sam Adams form a committee of correspondence. And this was a group that would write letters and then distribute these letters across America. The committees of correspondence would be in each town, and they would pass along news to inform the rest of the nation of injustices being committed in Boston. And in there, James Warren writes, "The rights of the colonists and of this particular province in particular, as men and as Christians and as subjects, to communicate and publish the same to the several towns in this province and to the world as the sense of this town." So in other words, we got atrocities going on here. We want to let the rest of the world know about it. You know, unless the world knows, it can go on.
Hello? Are you okay? Is that your dog? Can you get back? 243 shots fired. Ma'am, get a hold of your dog.
Yesterday, we responded to a Priority 1 investigation where a caller reported that there was an unresponsive female passed out in a grassy area behind a commercial business. Arlington police officers, Arlington Fire Department, and Arlington EMS were dispatched to this call on Cantor Drive. An Arlington police officer arrived on scene around the same time that EMS and fire department officials arrived. Initially, emergency personnel were unable to locate the woman described. The original complainant contacted the officer in person and provided the location where the woman was last seen. The officer, along with other emergency personnel, made their way to this new location nearby. As the officer began walking towards the woman, he could see that she was lying in the grass. The officer also noticed a dog on the sidewalk. The officer called out to the woman to check on her welfare, and as the officer stated, "Are you okay? Is that your dog?" a dog began to advance towards the officer while barking. The officer retreated backwards, drew his firearm, and fired multiple shots at the dog. The woman yelled, and it was apparent that she was injured. The officer assisted with first aid until relieved by EMS and fire department officials. The woman was transported to the Medical Center of Arlington, where she ultimately died of a gunshot wound to her upper torso. The decedent has been identified as Margarita Brooks. Everything about this call is an absolute tragedy. Our hearts are broken for the Brooks family and the police officer involved. As police officers, we join this profession to help people.
We're learning new details about a woman shot and killed by an Arlington police officer yesterday.
CBS 11 Jonah Gavino is live at the scene now. Yona.
Russ, it appears that the woman was accidentally shot by an officer who was firing at a charging and aggressive dog, we're told, and it happened somewhere around this area. And we have now learned the identity of the woman who lost her life. She is Margarita Victoria Brooks. And Arlington Fire can confirm she is in fact the daughter of one of their captains. Just before 5:30 last night, Arlington Police, Fire, and EMS responded to a welfare check for a woman passed out in a grassy area near Cantor Drive in North Collins Street. Now, as an officer approached Brooks, a loose dog began barking and running toward the officer. We're told he fired his gun several times at the dog, but after the shots were fired, Brooks yelled that she was injured and she died at the hospital. Now, we should point out we went to an address listed for her family to try to learn more about her, but no one came to the door. And police, meanwhile, say that the whole thing was caught on the officer's body cam footage, so that will, of course, be included in the investigation. Live in Arlington, Yona Gavino, CBS 11 News.
Surrounded by children screaming profanities, the officer pulls his gun. During this heated exchange outside an El Paso rec center. In the video, now viewed millions of times, it's unclear what happened before the unidentified officer draws his weapon on at least 6 children.
He got me on the throat and got me like that and took me down on the floor.
Jacob Saucedo is the 15-year-old being detained after police responded to a trespassing call.
I jump over the fence to see what's going on because I hear a commotion of all the kids screaming. I jump over, it's one of my sons getting choked by an officer.
I'm telling you to move! I'm telling you to move! I'm telling you to move! His mother, who was inside the rec center, tried to intervene. She says only one officer abused his power.
The other cops, they were doing their jobs right. It's just that one guy that was just being out of control.
With the 15-year-old dragged into custody, the officer extends his baton and tries to clear the young crowd.
We're gonna put a report on these two fools.
Before taking another person into custody who's recording the scene.
What are you doing? I'm just recording.
Tonight, amid growing community outrage, El Paso PD says the 4-year veteran has been reassigned as they launch an investigation. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
The officer had prior knowledge of this neighborhood. Previously, there had been shots fired calls there. He had been sent there on that particular day for a criminal mischief call in progress. So the officer was on high alert, needless to say, as far as his safety and handling the call that he was dispatched to handle. With all that being taken into consideration, there is a standard of U.S. law from a Supreme Court judgment, Graham versus Connor, back in 1989, if my time is right on the finding of that, which allows officers to make judgments of the incidents at the scene at the time they are handling the event. That particular consideration was also a concern when we were hearing this case. And that is a big concern for the officer actually at the scene. The perceptions of what might be seen on video are of consequence, but they aren't the full consideration in the event that we're looking at here today. As I said before, the board found this particular incident exonerated overall, and I concur with those findings. And with that, I'll take some questions.
As a result of this incident, it was
national headlines. Are you going to offer, is the police department going to offer any training for officers involving social media recording? We did see in the video that he was trying to take the phone away from the woman who was recording.
I don't believe that was his actions entirely. I don't agree with that particular statement. And officers do receive training on videotaping all the time. That is a First Amendment protection afforded by every individual. So officers know that is something that they cannot do because they're being videotaped. That's part of their job right now.
Can you clarify what's going to be happening with the officer that was involved?
The officer is back to work.
Deadly conduct is a Texas Penal Code offense that isn't quite as well known as assault and aggravated assault. Certainly, you've probably never heard about it in the movies. The Penal Code states a person commits deadly conduct when they recklessly engage in conduct that places another in imminent danger of serious bodily injury. Deadly conduct is an A misdemeanor. There is one specific type of deadly conduct mentioned in the Penal Code that is graded as a felony, though. The Penal Code states a person who discharges a firearm at or in the direction of one or more individuals, a building, habitation, or a vehicle, and who is reckless as to whether or not it is occupied, has committed deadly conduct. So, for instance, a drive-by shooting where a house is shot up from the street, but miraculously no one is injured, is considered deadly conduct, and is graded as a felony of the 3rd degree. A drive-by without victims is just one specific form of deadly conduct mentioned. Remember, any reckless conduct that places another in imminent danger of serious bodily injury is considered deadly conduct. The Penal Code concludes this law by stating that recklessness and danger are presumed, or they're automatic, if the actor knowingly pointed a firearm at or in the direction of another, whether or not the actor believed the firearm to be loaded. So if you unjustifiably point a firearm at another person, you have committed, at the minimum of course, the Penal Code offense of deadly conduct.
Sir, just get out of the roadway or I'm going to cite you, okay? For jaywalking. Do you hear me? Do you understand me, sir? You can't walk through like that unless it's a crosswalk. Do you understand that? I'm asking for your ID right now is because you're jaywalking. You can't cross the street like that unless it's a crosswalk. Do you have your ID with you? I'm asking for your ID right now. Are you understanding me? I need to positively identify you right now. Do you have your ID on you? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Or no? You jaywalk, that's illegal. I need your ID right now. Do you understand? Yes? Do you not understand? Can you step this way? Let's go. Step this way. I'm asking you to step this way.
Is that an order?
Huh? Yes, sir. Actually, the order is your ID right now because you jaywalk. That's illegal. You understand jaywalking? You need a crosswalk to cross from where you started right now, where you pulled over, to walk on this side. That's called jaywalking. Do you have your ID? I need your ID to properly identify. Let's go, sir. Let's go this way.
Why you grabbing my arm?
Because I'm asking you an order. You're not listening to me. Let's go.
So it's an ask or an order?
It's an order.
Oh, for jaywalking?
No. Jaywalking is illegal, and that's what you just did in front of us, in our presence. And I'm asking you for your ID, and you're failing to provide your ID. You understand that?
Well, I was just
Let it go. No, sir. I'm going to tell you right now. It's an order now. Put that down and give me your ID.
All right. Well,
you can record it.
Okay, can I get it?
You can record it. Go ahead. Give me your ID.
All right. Well, you're holding my hand.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I don't know what you have in there. I haven't pat you down.
Well,
so where's your ID at?
I'd like to use my left hand.
Where's your ID at?
Let me get it.
I'll grab it for you.
No, sir. That's okay. I don't consent to searches.
Okay. I'm not asking you. I'm gonna pat you down for weapons because right now you're making me nervous. Put your hand on the top of your head. So right now what you're doing, right now you're being detained due to the fact that you were jaywalking. You understand that? What is this right here?
I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions. I'm asking you because I'm patting you down for weapons. I don't know what this is. What is this?
Do you think it's a weapon?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't answer questions.
All right. It's your wallet. Okay, now go ahead and grab your wallet.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Just gonna put it back.
So what's up?
I'm putting my wallet in my pocket.
Okay, that's fine.
We know from an early age that changing the rules in the middle of the game isn't allowed. The Code of Criminal Procedure adheres to the same concept, that the rules can't be changed during a criminal prosecution. Due course of law is basically the same concept as due process. It refers to procedural law. Procedural law is the process by which one is found guilty of a crime. The end goal of the Code of Criminal Procedure is that this procedural law be fair and consistent for all people. The Code of Criminal Procedure states, no citizen of the state shall be deprived of life. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of liberty. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of property. This includes your house and your possessions. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of privileges. No citizen of the state shall be disenfranchised. Disenfranchised means prevented from participating in the government. An example are Jim Crow laws that were passed in the 20th century designed to disenfranchise African Americans. None of these shall be taken away except by due course of law of the land. No one can be deprived of anything without due process of law. There must be a hearing, a trial, or a formal procedure for any of these things to be taken away. They can't be taken away arbitrarily. Finally, the formal procedure we use must be fair and consistent for all persons.
Okay, the 14th Amendment contains the incorporation doctrine, or the idea that the U.S. Constitution, together with all of its amendments, applies equally to state governments as well as federal governments. Okay, perhaps most important in this is the idea that the due process of law, the protections under the Fifth Amendment, that the government must follow due process or act with fundamental fairness in the passage and carrying out of laws that affect the rights of individuals. That this applies equally to state governments, that the state government cannot simply be arbitrary in the passage or carrying out of laws. So again, this means that all of these provisions, particularly that of the Due Process Clause, is incorporated into the governance of the states.
Whoa. I didn't mean to put you to work. Now, every year they print out a new one of those books?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm sorry. Every year.
Okay.
The legislature gets together on
every 2 years.
Every 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And then they make changes or whatever.
Yeah.
Crossing at a point other than the crosswalk.
Okay.
A pedestrian should yield the right of way to a vehicle on the highway if crossing a roadway at a place other than in the marked crosswalk or in an unmarked crosswalk at the intersection.
Okay.
Or where the pedestrian don't over here between adjacent intersections at which traffic control signals are in operation. A pedestrian may not cross on the marked crosswalk. A pedestrian may cross a roadway intersection diagonally only if in a manner authorized by a traffic control device.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that you can cross a street.
Okay.
Let's see here. The other one is 000.
So before you go any further, was I charged with violation of one statute or two statutes?
No, just one.
Okay.
Just one. And I don't know how much it is. But you can dispute the ticket. I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to defend yourself, but...
Right. No, I'm not here for legal advice.
You can read on the internet. You got a pretty good phone. Are you recording me, sir?
Yes, I am, but I mean...
And it's prohibited.
It's prohibited? Really? Because I thought since you're a public official and we're talking about government business.
Why are you recording me without letting me know?
Well, because you're a police officer.
Okay. Yeah, I am. And I'm going to state my name.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I already told you, right? Did you
during the
when you called me?
Yeah, during the phone call. Yeah.
Centuries ago, our nation was founded as no other. Free, democratic, and open. Spelled out in the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, government derives their just powers from the consent of the governed, powers entrusted to them by the populace.
The public's right to know is essential to accountability in government. We have the right to know what occurs in government meetings and what is contained in public records.
Its openness mandated by state and federal law.
It's only natural that elected officials and government leaders want recognition for their successes, but not their failures. But we as a healthy democracy need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Today, we carry on the ideals and sacrifice of our country's founders.
Openness and accountability, not secrecy and concealment, is what keeps our democracy strong and enduring.
That's what a free democratic government is all about, and you can't have one unless people know what is going on behind government doors.
Hello, I'm Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott. Thomas Jefferson once said that a public office is a public trust, and in that spirit, the work of government must be open to all the people. It is a principle written into Texas law and upheld by the courts. The Sharpstown stock fraud scandal of the early 1970s serves as a reminder of the public trust and also of what happens when that trust is breached. Federal accusations and state charges were levied upon several elected officials. After the scandal, new Texas open government laws were passed to ensure that a scandal of that magnitude never happened again. As public officials elected to office, we owe it to all Texans to protect the openness and freedom this state and this country were founded upon.
So first, under Section 552.001, the entire Public Information Act is contained in Chapter 552 of the Government Code, and Section 001 is the very first section, and it starts off with a policy statement. And I'm just going to read it for you because it's really how important it is, and it's the fundamental section for the entire Act. So, under the fundamental philosophy of the American constitutional form of representative government that adheres to the principle that government is the servant and not the master of the people, it is the policy of this state that each person is entitled, unless otherwise expressly provided by law, at all times to complete information about the affairs of government and the official acts of public officials and employees. The provisions of this chapter shall be liberally construed to implement this policy. In case there is any question about how the Act should be construed, they repeat it again in the very next subsection. This chapter shall be liberally construed in favor of granting a request for information. So whenever we see a request come in, we're going to start off with the feeling that's contained in this section, that is the public information, the information that's responsive to the request is public, that it needs to be released unless there's an exception that covers it. So that's really important. That's what you start off with any request, is that the information that's responsive to this request is open to the public unless there's an exception that applies. Now we want to look at what is a Public Information Act request. It's really important that every member of your governmental body knows how to identify a Public Information Act request. We're going to talk about how Public Information Act requests can be received in a moment, but all that you need to know for this point is that anyone in your governmental body can receive a Public Information Act request if it comes in by hard copy, hand delivery, or mail. So that means anyone can walk up to any employee in a governmental body and hand them a handwritten Public Information Act request, and it triggers all of the requirements of the Public Information Act and all of the requester's rights. So very important that everyone knows how to identify them. So what are the limits of a Public Information Act request? There are not very many of them. The first is that it must be in writing. That's easy. The second is that it must ask for information that is in existence at the time the request is received. So take from that, you're not required to create new records in response to a Public Information Act request. You can. It often is beneficial to requesters to do that, and it can make it easier for your governmental body to do it, but you are not required to create new records. There's no requirement to answer questions. So if an entity asks you a question, you're not required to respond to it. You're only required to make a good faith effort to relate that question to records that you maintain. And there is no requirement to perform legal research. So you're not required to receive a Public Information Act request, forward it to your legal department for them to provide an answer or legal research on. So those are the limitations on what you're not required to do under the Public Information Act. That's about it. There are no magic words required. They do not have to say this is a Public Information Act request. They do not have to refer to the government code. All that they have to do is submit something in writing that asks for information. It can be typed or handwritten. We've seen them in all forms. Email is the most common now, but we're still seeing them come in written on a napkin. And you cannot require the use of a specific form to submit a request. However, it's very important to note that you can recommend and provide a form. Many requesters do not submit Public Information Act requests very often, and so they are very appreciative when a form is provided, and it can help you and it can help them. For example, when requesters submit something in hard copy, they may not provide you with a phone number, or they may not provide you with an address. And that type of contact information is really critical for working with requesters on getting them the records promptly. So it's a good idea to have a form, but you are not permitted to require the use of the form. A requester can submit a request in any form as long as it is in writing.
Okay.
Did they help you?
Not yet. I didn't see anybody yet.
What did you need?
It's regarding a records request.
Okay. The records section is next door and they open. Hold on. Right here.
That would That would be the normal method, but by law, I'm allowed to make a records request at any time.
You need it right now?
Yeah.
Hold on, okay, let me get you.
Okay.
You need it ASAP?
No, not ASAP.
You see you need it right now. Hold on, just give me a little bit.
Well, I'd like to submit the request right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You'll pick it up at a later time then?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have to physically pick it up. If my request could be responded to by email, that'd be perfect.
Or mail. I think they do it by mail, but let me double check.
Okay.
Hang on, okay?
All right.
These do a records request right now. Records request at 4:40. On that they open, but he needs it now. So are you requesting a case or report, right?
No, I'm requesting a policy.
Paso PD policy?
Yeah.
Which type of policy?
This is my request right here. And I'd like another sticky note so I can fill out my information as to where it needs to go.
Okay, I'll talk to him right now.
Sir, do you know where internal affairs is?
Internal affairs?
Yeah, there's a sign right here. If you need to request any policies, you can go to internal affairs. We're very busy right now. We have a lot of arrestees here.
Okay.
We have some injured officers that were involved in an auto collision.
Oh my God.
Right now we can't provide this to you, okay? If you want to call internal affairs, if you want to file a complaint about any citation that was given to you, and if you want the policy regarding that, you can contact internal affairs.
I'm not making any complaints.
Okay. Right now, we don't have the time. If you want to come back during the day, we're graveyard shift. We don't have a desk officer right now.
But I'm not asking you to drop everything for me.
Okay.
I'm just trying to submit this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, right now, I can't help you with this.
Well, I'm sorry, officer, but that's not how the law works.
How does the law work?
The government code says I could submit it to any member of government at any agency.
Okay, but I'm not going to give it to you right now. You can come back later, right?
I'm not asking for it right
Okay.
now. I'm only trying to
Okay,
submit.
well that's what I figured. You wanted the
No,
policy.
sir, no. And I'm sorry that somebody got hurt tonight. I'm not trying to make you guys drop everything. I'm trying to submit this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here, this is so you can call and then they'll follow up. They can tell you, they can explain any questions you have on the policy or anything, or what you want to see. They can sit down with you and talk to you. Like if you want to review it or whatever.
I do appreciate this, officer, but that still doesn't solve the problem of me submitting this request here. I need to submit this to one of the police officers or a civilian member of this police department tonight.
Right, and you understand, like, it's 4 in the morning. I mean, I understand. I asked you if it was pressing, you needed it right now. You said, no, I could wait.
No, I don't.
Email it to me. That's what you said. You said that.
That is exactly what I said. I don't need the item I'm asking for, but I do need to submit this request tonight.
Okay, you can call that number and leave a message saying, I'm requesting it right now, or send an email to that, and that will be a formal request.
I'm sorry, sir, but that doesn't satisfy what I'm asking for. I have a right to submit it at any time, which is right now.
Exactly. You can call that number and say, I want to submit it right now. They're the ones that handle all that stuff.
But they're not open right now.
Exactly. See my point?
But you are standing in front of me, and the law says I can submit it to any member of government at any time.
Which law are you speaking about?
Chapter 552 of the Government Code.
Do you want to show me that?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, what is the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment? Well, this amendment was introduced to combat historical prejudices, that is, laws by federal, state, or local government treating individuals differently under the law, largely based upon some protected characteristic or classification. It was the justification for the first Civil Rights Act of 1866 that prohibited discrimination based upon race as a primary character, and it is carried forward to be the driving force behind much of the civil rights laws, or the laws prohibiting individuals from treating the law as passed by the local government from in some way treating one individual differently from the next. It embodies the full principle of the rule of law, that again, that providing individuals equal access and protection under the law promotes the general and overall well-being of society, including the greater economic productive activity by all individuals.
Second rank, steal! Yeah, come in, boys. Wait till they get close before you shoot.
There's a story about a white unionist in the South whose support for newly freed blacks angers his neighbors. They come over one night and basically tell him to shut up. When he refuses, they take him outside, tie him to a tree, and horsewhip him. And they tell him if they have to come back again, they're going to hang him from that same tree. But the man had nowhere to turn, because the South at this time was a place of lawless tyranny. The 14th Amendment was designed to stamp out that tyranny by requiring government officials to respect the basic civil rights of all Americans. In the aftermath of the Civil War, newly freed blacks were systematically terrorized, disarmed, and even lynched for asserting their right to equality and individual liberty. The stories of violence perpetrated against newly freed blacks are truly horrifying.
For example, Robert Church, a black entrepreneur in Memphis, Tennessee, actually one of the first major black entrepreneurs anywhere in the Reconstruction South, owned a saloon and several other businesses around Memphis. He was wildly successful, he was beloved by the community, and in 1866, an angry mob of white people, largely led by members of the local police force, broke into his saloon, dragged him into the street, shot him, and left him for dead, all because he was in a business they thought a black man shouldn't be in.
By the time Congress convened in 1866, anti-slavery Republicans dominated both houses. Led by men like John Bingham in the House, along with Senators Charles Sumner and Jacob Howard, radical Republicans enjoyed complete control of Congress. The 14th Amendment was proposed in response to this wholesale violation of civil rights, as embodied, for example, in the notorious Black Codes. The architect of the 14th Amendment, John Bingham, was a learned and well-respected lawyer from Ohio.
Bingham actually appears to have been one of the few members of Congress who understood that by virtue of the Supreme Court's decision in Barron v. Baltimore, the Bill of Rights did not apply directly against the states. In fact, Bingham had to bring a copy of Barron onto the floor of the House to prove that the Bill of Rights had no effect against the states.
John Bingham believed there was a hole in the original Constitution, which was that it didn't give the federal government the power to protect individual rights from interference by the states. The 14th Amendment was Bingham's effort to fix that.
The 14th Amendment protects three distinct interests: due process, equal protection, and the privileges or immunities, meaning rights, of United States citizens. Of those three, privileges or immunities are by far the most important because that clause protects individual rights from government infringement.
Howdy guys, it's Justin Pulliam. It's about 3:58 a.m. in the morning. I'm just finishing up a little over a 6-hour project, writing public comments to the Attorney General of Texas about why public information should be public. And there's a tracking number if you want to make sure it gets there. Somebody dropped this off in the mail today, but I'm recording this video instead of doing it live because even though I requested this information, let's see, a month and a half ago now, because our open records laws are getting so bad. They're so bad that today is actually the city's deadline to change their comments, so they could update their comments in response to my comments today. So I'm not going to post this video until tomorrow, which I guess will be September 11th of all things. and y'all can see it then. But what this is remember I've showed y'all this video of that officer who went out on the quote welfare check and murdered that girl, that woman, on the sidewalk? Well, it's the basic information about that. You know, basically like, what is his name? And of course they're playing games to withhold that. But a really key part, there's two different requests that I did, one for the basic information and the other for the body camera. But there's fascinating things about each part. The first one, the basic information, is public. They have to release it, which is why I asked for it. So in this, there's an Attorney General decision that states that, so the Attorney General says, a governmental body may not request an open records decision from the Attorney General if the governmental body reasonably believes that the information is not accepted from required disclosure. But here the city itself said that it was public and that it must be released. The city said the Arlington Police Department acknowledges that the basic information of the report must be released. Yet they're not doing it. They're just playing all these games. They're breaking all the laws. They did not send me the stuff they are supposed to, the procedural things for withholding that and correspondence about my request that they're supposed to. I received none of the information. And the other one's the body cam. Now you've seen some of this body cam because they voluntarily disclosed it, at least some of it, the day that it happened. Yet they're not giving it to me. That's illegal. That's discriminatory. And they have to give it to anyone since they already gave it out. You can see here, Arlington police released body camera video of officer trying to shoot dog. Body camera footage shows. So I'm literally having to I spent over 6 hours of my time. 6 hours of my time. Because they're playing these games, and of course they don't ever admit to the Attorney General, oh, hey, by the way, we already released this, or oh, we didn't do this, and well, here, I guess in the first one, they did admit it. But the point is, because these jerks, these absolute total criminal jerks, that would have taken them only a few minutes to give me the basic crime information. In fact, I think I even wrote that here. I have recently been overwhelmed by governmental bodies in Texas failing and/or refusing to release public information about government actor misconduct. The criminal acts of state actors who withhold public information cause substantial and irreparable harm to me. I am just now able to dedicate hours of time to write these comments. In the event that a ruling was issued in advance of this, please reconsider it. I note that it would take merely a matter of minutes for the city to simply send me the basic information I requested. The welfare of society will never recover from the deadweight cost of the city's open records games. So, like, I mean, I could have been doing so much more with this time, getting a video edited, sleeping, doing other work, doing business work. There's so much stuff, and instead, they know what they're doing is wrong. It's just obstructionist. The government wants to kill people, and they want to do it in the secret. They want to do it in the dark. They want to have the secret police, and they want their secret policemen to know, abuse whoever, do whatever, we will protect you. Go in and take their guns, plant drugs, prosecute them, make arrests, F with people. And it's sick, guys. It's sick, and I think I may have even explained more about that somewhere, but gosh, I can't even remember anymore. I think that was in my paragraph or two that didn't make it into the comments. That's how it normally does. There's a paragraph or two that I don't actually end up including. So I'm going to get these mailed off and in the mail today. And just thought I'd give you all an update since sometimes I go off camera for a while and you're like, what's up? Well, I'm fighting open records games, and it is a pain. It's ridiculous. These people doing this, it's a crime, and it's punishable by up to 6 months in jail, and these people need to start seeing jail time. It's ridiculous. This is calculated. It's malicious. They're certainly culpable, and it's time for the government to start doing its duty. The government doesn't have a duty to protect you, but they do have a duty to give out that information. I'll catch y'all soon. Y'all have a great day.
Public servants are typically held to a higher standard than the rest of society and are expected to refrain from abusing their power. The Texas Penal Code not only includes enhanced penalties for public servants who violate the law, but a specific offense for those who unjustly exceed the scope of their authority. This offense is called official oppression. According to the Penal Code, a public servant under the color of their office or employment, which means in any way or manner that is connected to their position or authority, who intentionally subjects another to mistreatment, arrest or detention, search, seizure, dispossession, assessment or lien known to be unlawful, or denies or impedes another in the exercise or enjoyment of any right, privilege, power, or immunity commits the offense of official oppression.
You doing okay, sir? Sir, you doing okay? Can I help you, sir?
You can get that fucking light on my face.
You alright, sir?
You can get that light on my face.
No, I don't think I will, sir. I'm trying to figure out, make sure you have no weapons on you.
Fuck you.
Officer Vasquez, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Do me a favor, can I be stepped on this side, please?
No, sir.
For the
I'm
safety
gonna
of the
stand
officer?
right here. Back up.
Okay, well, I'm going to stand right here, sir, because it's a safety concern for my officer. Do not put that in my face. Do not put that
You
in
need
my
to
face.
back up, dude.
No, you're causing a scene. You're being a safety hazard to my officer. Okay, so I'm going to get that out of my face.
Hey,
Don't put it
back
in my
up, man.
face.
Get your fucking hand out of my face.
Okay. Do not put that in my face.
I'll put it in your face anytime I feel like.
I just really wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for standing up for something that to us means a lot, the Bill of Rights. And Open Carry Texas has a goal of definitely fostering a cooperative spirit with law enforcement. Yeah. And so I know sometimes it's tough, but like when that asshole came all the way from Houston to being an asshole with guns and knives and stuff like that, you guys handled yourselves very well. And that's
6 minutes.
It's something like these problems can't be fixed by just passing laws sometimes. That's right. And so really the solution has to come from the community to love each other better and encourage people to take responsibility for their own selves. So
Well,
thanks
thanks
for taking the
very
time
much.
to come
Can I
today.
take a
Yes, sir.
selfie with you, sir?
James Piñón.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Thank you for your comments.
Can I get a
Oh, I got it. And on behalf of veterans here in El Paso, thank you for everything you and your officers do. Stay safe out there and God bless.
Could we get a picture with you, sir? Sure. Okay.
I got you.
Get in there, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you bet. Kind of shady.
I know you're not about politics, you're just speaking what you think is what people need to hear because your responsibility is to the community safety. And so, anyway, I'll let you go. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
Yeah,
Stay safe together. Hang in there, all right?
Great job, sir. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good day, Chief.
$45, by the way. Oh, thanks.